Welcome back. This is Hako, Artist Poet on PlayStation 4. And just a quick update.
What is it?
I'm still grounded from playing Crucible. And yeah. Now, I want to let you guys understand something very important here. I have invested in improving my internet connection situation. Now, I've always had pretty good internet to begin with, but ever since Beyond Light dropped, and Bungie, I think, has actually put it out there that they're going to get a little bit more particular, I guess. They're going to be more observant of people's connections in the game because they are a peer to peer network situation. So if one person is lagging,
Let's begin.
aka lag switching, it doesn't just affect them, but it actually shows up with everybody else. Anytime you see your latency bar, that's that little white bar at the end of your gamer tag in the roster. Every time you see that drop a little bit, that is basically your connection to the game state, your game world being, diminished. But for some reason or another, whether it's a traffic spike in your local area, or if it's somebody you're playing with, or somebody in your instance who is having such a horrific internet connection that is actually dragging everybody else down. Um, and that's the problem with peer-to-peer networking, and that's why Bungie is being so militant about it. So I had a 2-week restriction back in, I think it was December, and that was because I had binged an afternoon of Gambit. Both instances that I've been on restriction or been grounded have been after binging an afternoon of Gambit. So my takeaway so far is don't binge Gambit. And the first time it was like, you know, it and there's just a problem. I take a little while to get into to the swing of an activity. After about my second or third match in Gambit,
Want to
I
see a
pick up the
ball
pattern, I
game?
pick up the rhythm. The
Just let me
lobby
know
is
if you
more or less stayed the same for the most part. So I will go ahead and I start to learn what my enemies
I
do.
just want to know
This
who's
is
in
why I say
charge.
Crucible matches are too long, because players who are better skilled than me are figuring out opponents within about a minute or two, whereas it taking me about 3 or 4 minutes. And then after about 5 minutes of play, I get bored watching the same thing happen over and over. Now you would think, hey, if you're that bored about it and you can predict their actions so easily, why don't you just go ahead and own that match? Because I don't want to get reported. Because that's exactly what happened many Iron Banners ago. I went in with my fire team, my clan, and we basically dominated the shit out of this enemy team. And the piece of hate mail that I got back was, just to let you know, my guys and my entire clan are reporting you. And I'm like, for what? And the guy was like, for cheating, because there's no way any of you could have won. You all had trash gear. I says, we won because we were coordinated, which was the truth. I wanted to test it. I wanted to prove a theory. I wanted to prove a point to my clanmates that you don't need high-end activity gear to do high-end activities. If you're coordinated well enough, if you're a team, you can get by with sharp sticks and quick thinking. It's really the truth. Um, this separates the day one raiders who take 6 hours versus the guys who are slogging for 20. It's all about the communication. It's about the anticipation. It's about pattern recognition. It's about patience and timing. And this seems to be a skill set that's far lacking in the contemporary Guardian. And it's kind of sad. And Crucible is supposed to encourage that, especially if you're matchmaking, like into control and shit. Everybody knows what the goal is. You take the command posts, so you can get the point multiplier, so you can win the match. And it's supposed to be a team effort. Some people take command posts, some people guard the command posts, some people go out and find kills. And Iron Banner is even more important to do that kind of routine, because you got to have people who are locking down command posts, and then you got to have people defending those people locking down the command posts, and then you got a couple of guys running around just basically destroying everybody in sight. And I don't know if I want to use my hammer charges for this. It's legendary shards no matter what you do, so it doesn't really make a difference. I don't know if you get more progress or not if you just decrypt the engrams. So I'm just gonna go for it. Fuck it. Oh hey, I like the nature of the beast. Ooh, Honor's Edge. That was one of my favorites. It's gonna be trash, but it's okay. Yeah, trash. And high impact reserves is not something to sniff at. Versus my palindrome, huh? Let's see what these guys compare at. Palindrome still outperforms. Toodles. Anyway, so I need that for now. And what's the other bounty I'm doing? So, basically, what happened in the Gambit matches, and I've talked about this forever. I'm not going to stop talking about it. um, yeah, so there was a team. I'd figured out. When you play enough Gambit, you kind of know where the spawns are for the invader. And long story short, I got clever, and I knew I had a 33% chance of finding the spawn as the guy came in, and sure enough, I did. But at least 2 out of 3 times I caught him, and with basically shot his head off with the malfeasance or a sniper rifle. And I mean, if I was that player, I'd report me for being sus because that's like, I would get salty and get angry about it. But and I'm pretty sure that's what happened. And after about a dozen matches, I lost. I didn't even win that many. Actually, it was like I think it was a good 50-50 spread between wins and losses on the matches. But I was doing something like 50% of the damage on the primeval. Uh, you know, I was creating more moats. I wasn't depositing a lot of moats. I was leaving the moats for everybody else to take care of. I was just getting the kills and not dying a lot. And I don't know, player skill. But apparently it was suspicious enough, and I got reported enough that Bungie just decided to go ahead and ban me. But the screen they put on me, they put up was I was being restricted from playing PvP and PvP based activities because my internet wasn't good enough to maintain a stable connection, and I had too many dropouts. And basically, I was soiling everybody else's beds by having shit-tastic internet. Well, I did send an appeal after I went out and I bought the necessary hardware to improve my internet, and I sent the appeal to them, and they just came back with the return ticket of like, yeah, we looked at it, fuck off. So I'm like, great. Well, the problem here is that this is pretty much, I am relegated now to just doing these bounties and the destination bounties at the planets to get any kind of XP growth. As a consequence, I have friends of mine who have already capped out their artifacts and have seasonal rankings in the 200s. Um, and I'm like just plotting along here with 129. And I'm really thinking that's kind of BS. Also, the other thing too is that if I'm doing a private match, I'm not playing with other players that are randos. Everybody I play, anybody who I would play with in a private match is going to know who I am and know my internet and know what I'm doing. So why can't I even really just play a private match just to keep my skills relevant? Because that's the thing. PvP skills are completely different than PvE skills. And there are a lot of players who take PvP tactics and they bring it into PvE, and that doesn't do good. That turns a 10-minute strike into a 20-minute slog. It's ridiculous. Um, I like to doing Crucible and Gambit because I know well, maybe not so much Gambit, but in Crucible, you're fixed at about 12 minutes. I know that I'm not going to spend more than 12 minutes in any given match, regardless of how many rounds we go, like say survival or elimination or something. The match is going to cap. Eventually, especially if I play Control, and if I play Rumble, it's even faster. Gambit, there is a time limit after a certain amount, but I've actually been in matches that felt like they went for half an hour. Strikes and Nightfalls, unless you're doing heroics or higher, even that they don't time out for you. You can be in there for as long as you can manage. As long as you're not AFK, you're going to be there, and that's kind of ridiculous. But I just wanted to kind of like share real quick that it's good if you have PvP strategies, that's fine. But if Bungie, if you're gonna ban people from playing PvP because their internet's crap or maybe they were cheating, who knows? Uh, then doesn't have don't take away the private matches, you know, uh, because I do want to be able to get back in at the because the way my banning is going to be lifted, I'm going to be ungrounded with about maybe a month or so left to do all the PvP that I want to do, and I might get a week of Iron Banner, which would be nice to get the pinnacle gear. But at that end, at so close to the end of the season, I've actually kind of gotten to the idea of like it's not going to really matter. But I like playing PvP just for playing PvP. I don't play PvP to do anything with the leaderboards. I don't play PvP to, uh, satisfy triumphs or even go for, pinnacles or anything like that because there aren't any. Um, but it is a source of XP, and that's kind of nice. It is a break of routine, and you can go in with friends, and it's a lot of fun. And I find that in my clan, there are more people who are more willing to group up for PvP than they are for things like the raid, unless unless you're going to carry them and stuff. Um, which I got to talk to the clan about that. But yeah, I guess the long and the short of it would just be try not to be a dick, and if you really really like an activity like Gambit or Crucible, and you want to do an afternoon's worth of it, force yourself out of the lobbies and re-lobby after each match. Don't just sit in the lobby because eventually some salty shits on the other side are going to report your ass and you're going to get grounded like I did. So just a word of warning. The takeaway is don't binge this game. Don't enjoy yourself. Laters.